Well, no one likes to see streets littered with rubbish. It's pretty ugly, isn't it? But have you ever stopped to consider where it all comes from? Well, the people at Keep Britain Tidy have been collecting it, sorting it and counting it.
Yes, that must have been a difficult job. They've decided to name and shame as well the companies which contribute most to the problem. So we're going to hear more from our reporter Tim Muffet. Tim joins us from Leicester this morning. Morning, Tim.
Good morning to you. Litter, isn't it horrible? It's a problem, let's face it, in pretty much all of our towns and cities. If you drop litter in Leicester city centre, it's a good chance that Gordon or one of his colleagues will have to go along and pick it up a little later. Good morning to Gordon. He'll be off on patrol in a minute. Now, there's one type of litter, despite all the many anti-litter campaigns, that continues to increase. It's all down to fast food. Unsightly, annoying and unhealthy. Litter doesn't half wind us up.
Everywhere you go, move, you see the rubbish everywhere.
What effect does it have on an area, do you think?
Make it look like a dump.
If I see anybody throwing it, I tell them to pick it up.
Dickie Felton has been examining the litter on our streets. He and his team want to know where precisely it's coming from.
We live in a very, very beautiful country, but unfortunately people choose to trash it in such a messy way. I think that litter has a really negative impact on an area, and I think that people also feel very, very negative when they live somewhere which is covered in litter. Packaging from takeaways and fast food outlets is now one of the biggest problems. It accounts for around a quarter of all litter. Now, Keep Britain Tidy have been monitoring the streets of 10 cities across England, and by looking at the logos on the rubbish, they've been compiling a list of the companies which are producing the most. And here are their results in traditional reverse order. They found that 5% of fast food litter came from Subway sandwich shops, 8% from KFCs, 18% from Greggs bakeries. Just over a fifth of litter was unbranded wrapping from fish and chip or kebab shops. The largest amount, 29%, came from McDonald's restaurants. The company says it takes the issue very seriously and has been trying to cut down on litter for many years.
One of the most effective things that we do is all of our restaurants up and down the country are expected to go out about 3 times a day to pick up litter from the neighbourhoods and communities where we do business. Not only our litter, but other people's rubbish as well.
Saeed Kinlich, who works in this kebab shop in North London, points out it's not the restaurants necessarily making the mess.
I think it's the public themselves. If they tend to throw litter on the floor, then they've got a responsibility to maybe throw it in the dustbin or leave it inside the restaurants.
Anti-litter campaigns have been running for more than 50 years. Some have verged on the slightly bizarre. More recently, they've highlighted issues such as rats and vermin. But whilst there is less dog mess and fly posting than before, campaigners say there's more fast food litter than ever, and they want those selling fast food to take more action. Now, we heard the response from McDonald's in the report. Breakfast has also spoken to the other companies mentioned, and they all said pretty much the same thing. They accept that litter is an ongoing challenge, and many of them have actually pledged to try and reduce the amount of packaging. But it does seem that whilst there are fast food outlets, there will be people who drop the packaging on the streets. Ian, let's have a quick chat to you. Good morning to you. I know you coordinate the street cleaning teams here in Leicester. As far as you're concerned, is it the companies who are responsible or the people who drop the litter?
It's a bit of both, really. I mean, obviously people got to take more responsibility of taking their litter, either putting it in the bins or taking it home with them. But also the companies, they're the ones that are making the money from their products. And, you know, let's go back to the old days and let's have the shops cleaning their frontages.
Now, fast food litter, as far as you're concerned, is hugely responsible, isn't it, for a lot of the litter which is on the street?
That's right. It's a very big percentage in Leicester. The city centre is a lot of takeaway food.
Sure. And I guess it's something which I suppose, whilst they remain popular, especially at weekends, the problem is ongoing.
You're right, at weekends it's horrendous. You come here Friday, after a Friday night and Saturday night, you walk around and it's 90% takeaway food.
Okay, Ian, thanks very much indeed. Gordon, have a good clean up this morning. Good to see you there. Now, what really can be done? Well, the amount of bins is one issue, and also Keep Britain Tidy is suggesting that maybe some restaurants could offer maybe vouchers for people who return the packaging in order to encourage them to bring it back rather than just chucking it on the street. What can you do? We don't want to nag anyone on breakfast, but it does seem today, if you've got a bit of rubbish in your hand, make sure you stick it in the bin.
Stick it in a bin or take it home with you, although you see, very few people want to do
Tim.
that, do they, really?
I know. Mark in Kettering says, don't blame the fast food outlets. It's like blaming God for man-made global warming. The antisocial oiks of all ages who drop their litter are to blame. So target them.
All right.